Have this one, good soul. Every single prophecy must be fulfilled. Not a single one left out. Not a single one turned a blind eye to. Every single prophecy must be fulfilled. Take two. So, as with the pattern, I am suffering from the effects of the meth poisoning here in the shelter. It's clearly not a sickness. It's a contamination of this building. And so this morning, while I was having my pretzels and Sprite breakfast, there was another homeless person who was talking about how Jesus was a carpenter, and that only comes from Mark because of the wording in English, because in Matthew he's the carpenter's son. And I've told you that the scriptures are Jewish literature, and therefore they're not talking about Jesus during the Roman period of time. That was the creation of Constantine, who pulled an anachronism and made the change and turned them into literal history. The Jews wrote it as apocalyptic literature. So they can't be talking about literal history if they're writing during the Roman period of time about apocalyptic literature. And as such, this is a prophecy for the man like Moses that the Jews refer to as their future Messiah. As I've gone over with you how Joseph Smith is the man like Joseph of Egypt. That's in the learning of the Jews as well. And as Joseph says that the future man like Moses will be a Mormon, section 103 verse 16, that's who Mormons are supposed to be looking for. Whether the Jews look for him or not, that's up to them. This is for Mormons. And Christians obviously aren't going to be looking for him. They're still waiting for Jesus to be the supernatural to interfere with the natural, which can't happen, because once you introduce a supernatural event into the natural world, you've nullified the natural world. You've nullified your conclusion. You've lost your argument. And so, in the sense of son, I did this with the New Testament lesson that I did, talking about son of, and Jesus is supposedly the son of David, son of Abraham. And it has to do with biological link, not a direct son to father. And so grandfather fills the role of being the father of, and likewise the grandson, son of, in that sense of Hebrew understanding. So interestingly, my grandfather was a carpenter. He was a farmer. He was a lot of things. And up in Rexburg, Idaho, he had built an initial home, which I think is still standing. It's the one main road that drops you off at the front of the Marion Center. Is that what it's called? But then as you drive back out of town, it's off to the right. When you hit the one curve area, there's a little old home that's there. That was my grandfather who built that. And when he sold the farm, he built a larger home, and he was able to build it with all the modern technologies and even some of his own inventions, in which he had the light panel was at his master bedroom, and it would show which light in the house was still on, and he could turn it off from his master bedroom. But it would be a light, and then you just push the button to turn it off the light or turn on the light in whatever part of the house. He also had a vacuum cleaner that was built into the wall, so that you plug it into the wall, do your vacuuming, and all of the lint would be sucked in and out to one particular place. His master bedroom had a bath that was like it was incredible. Big square that you walk into, and so my whole body could fit into it easily, which is difficult for regular bathtubs. But yeah, mirrors and plants that were there. But yeah, when the Teton Dam broke, I remember that breakfast. We were all sitting at the kitchen table, and my dad gets word that the Teton Dam had broke, and he was packing up and saying his goodbye to us, while he and his brother went up to help clean and do all that. But my grandparents were on vacation on an RV trip in Quebec at the time, or Montreal, somewhere over on the east coast of Canada. And I saw on the news that the Teton Dam had broke, and saw a house floating right past their house. That's how good of a carpenter he was. He was able to build a house that withstood the storm when it happened.
The Advantage Services shuttle has arrived. The Advantage Services shuttle has arrived.
Interesting, but that's how I'm a carpenter's son. My dad likewise wanted to show that he was good at carpentry as well. When we moved to Corona, he built a room above the dining room, and that was used for my bedroom. And then his Riverton, Riverside is in Southern California, Riverton home here in Utah. They bought a new subdivision home where he intended me to build the basement. And so in a sense, I am a carpenter. Learned wiring, I learned plumbing, but also sprinkler systems when I was up in Canada for the summer before I started school with Roger the Shrubber. So I know how to build a home. And I do have an architectural program, but yeah, I'm not able to access and utilize it as much as I would like to under these conditions. But yeah. Oh well, carpenter's son. I am.